Lila Parsons is my name, and I teach science in a small Ohio town. I teach biology and chemistry, so you could say I've always been open and honest. A few months ago, though, something changed the way I think about life, death, and what comes after. It was, in fact, just another Saturday morning. I was jogging around the neighborhood as normal when all of a sudden my chest hurt really bad. Before I knew it, I was on the ground. I found out later that I had a major heart attack because of a birth defect that wasn't found. The next thing, I knew I was floating above my body. It was clear that the people trying to save me were working hard, but I was calm and at peace. Then I moved faster and faster up a dark tube toward a bright white light. An awful lot of people say they've been this close to dying. The most beautiful place I've ever seen met me when I got off the tube. It looked like a flower garden, with music that was so beautiful and colors I had never seen before. I could feel love all around me because the air was so full of it. My late grandmother, who died when I was a youngster, met me. She was so pretty and young. She hugged me and told me she was proud of how I had changed. I had to do something important on Earth first, she told me. It wasn't my time yet. My grandmother told me I needed to see something first. As soon as she grabbed my hand, we were somewhere else. There was a big stadium in the picture. That's where I saw Jesus. It's hard to explain. I've never felt such pure love and kindness from anyone else. It put me at ease and made me feel like I was welcome to be with him. He smiled at me and told me he was going to show me something important. I saw a lot of souls all around us as soon as he waved his hand. He called it a third heaven, and it was a place where people who had just died could rest. It looked like it was broken up into several pieces. There were souls in one place that looked like they were at peace. Jesus told them that these people were good and had done good things. They were in a safe and quiet place while they waited for the last rising. There were souls in another place who were learning and growing. Jesus told them that these people needed to get better spiritually before they could go to the next level. They learned from teachers who looked like angels and fixed mistakes they had made before. There was a darker spot that seemed to be full of sad, antsy ghosts. Jesus told them in a sad way that these people had turned away from love and goodness while they were still alive. They were not hurt, but they couldn't get God's love and light. At the end, he told them, they would have a chance to make a different choice. It seemed like this third heaven was just a layover between life on earth and the last endless worlds, he told me. The soul of a dead person comes to this place right away to plan, think, and learn. The good people are at peace and are enjoying a bit of heaven. People who need to grow can learn and grow mentally, and even people who are in the dark parts of the world can be saved if they turn to the light. When we were in college, I saw my childhood best friend who had died of cancer. People learn there, and she looked so calm and happy. That meant she was working on accepting herself and letting go of some things she felt bad about in the past. Another cousin from a long time ago who had been having trouble with drugs was there. I saw soft angels reaching out to him when he was in a bad place. He told him that everyone has hope, even if they've done bad things. He told me to bring a message back to Earth. He said that too many people are afraid of death or think that nothing happens after we die. He told me to tell people that life has a lot more to offer, and that death is just the start of more growth, and if we choose, real happiness. He also said it's important how we live our lives here on Earth. Kind things we do, choices we make, to love instead of hate, and times we forgive change our lives forever. He told me it wasn't my time yet because I still had important things to do on Earth. He told me to give hope to other people by telling them what I had seen. My grandmother gave me one last hug, and then I ran back down the tube. The people who came to help me shocked me with a defibrillator and brought me back to life. After a while, I learned that I had been dead for longer than minutes. This event caused everything to change. I'm no longer afraid of going. I know it's just a way to get to something more beautiful now, but now I see how important this life is and how it gives us chances to love and grow. Now I care a lot more about other people. Think about the fact that everyone I meet is a soul on a trip. It makes me more gentle and kind. Jesus loves everyone no matter what, and I hope they can reach their full potential. That's how I try to see people. What we do and choose in this life has a direct effect on our minds and what we experience after we die. This was one of the most important things Jesus taught me. It's not about following strict rules of faith. It's about being smarter, kinder, and more caring. We get closer to the divine love that makes all life possible when we forgive instead of hold a grudge, when we are kind instead of selfish, and when we are brave instead of scared. They don't just change the outside world. They change who we are as timeless beings at our heart. People who learned to love and be smart while they were on Earth were in the places where it was happy and peaceful. Some things about them were bad, but they always tried to get better and treat others with love and respect. Most of the folks in the learning areas were good people who still had issues to resolve. For instance, they may not have been able to forgive others or had been so focused on getting things that they forgot about their relationships. They were excited to learn and grow. Those souls that lived in the darker parts were always selfish, mean, or didn't care about other people. Even they weren't doomed to hell for all time, though. I saw angels and more advanced souls trying to gently help people find the love of God that was already inside them. It looks like everyone is hopeful. Yes, that was a big part of what Jesus told me. It's possible to save everyone. Even people who are in the worst places have a holy spark inside them. They can always turn around and face the light. Love doesn't give up on anyone, even if some people need more time. Because I teach science, I know how crazy this all sounds. It would not have made sense to me if it hadn't happened to me. My family and some people at work have told me it's only a dream because my brain isn't getting enough air. But I'm sure what I saw and felt was real. It felt more real than any other life I've ever had. It's too important not to share love, hope, and the fact that our minds live on forever, even if some people don't believe them. Please tell me more about what happened to you. God the Son said that heaven has many levels or layers. What he told me I saw was the third heaven, which is like the first place people go after they die. His words meant that there are more beautiful places beyond this one. It reminded me of something I learned after the fact when I thought about what I had done. Some faiths think that the book of Enoch, which is not in the Bible, is very important. Enoch talks about going to 10 different places in it. Jesus showed that there are many places in heaven, and each one helps souls grow spiritually in its own way. The third heaven had a peaceful area that was so beautiful it was hard to explain. It looked like the most beautiful garden in the world, and it was full of life and color. In his words, Jesus said it looked like Eden to him. He thought this tree, which he called the tree of life, was very important. That tree looks different from any I've seen before. It looked like it was glowing from the inside out, and the fruit on it looked like it was made of gold and gems. Jesus said that this tree gives souls in that world food for the spirit world. Some of the things that made me think were the bad things that happened in this world. It felt darker and cooler in some places. It looked like the souls I saw were hurting or lost. He told them that these were people on earth who had turned away from light and love. He made it clear that this wasn't hell, the place where most people think people are punished over and over again. Instead, these souls picked that state by what they did and how they thought during their lives. But he showed me that angels and more advanced souls were still trying to help these lost spirits get back to the light. The things that Jesus said about the sins or bad things that people do that send them to these darker places are also found in the book of Enoch. It was bad to disrespect God, lie, use magic, take advantage of the poor, and other bad things he talked about. But he made it clear that the point of showing people what happens when they do these things is not to punish them, as most of us think it would be. He taught me that judgment doesn't mean that God is punishing us for what we did wrong. It's actually a way to learn more about yourself. When we die, we see and feel how everything we did during our lives affected everyone we knew, not just ourselves. Everything is clear for a moment, and we know how each choice we made really changed our lives. For people who lived with love and kindness, this is a beautiful and comforting event. People who hurt others may find it hard to face that the goal is always healing and growth, not punishment just for the sake of punishment. Enoch said that the third heaven is somewhere between being corruptible and not being corruptible. Jesus showed me this. People are leaving behind the parts of themselves that can be changed on earth and going toward a more pure, unchangeable spiritual state. This takes time because souls need time to learn and grow. The first book of the Bible talked about some specific things about this world from the book of Enoch. I saw the pretty blooming trees that Enoch talked about. They had a great smell. Jesus also showed 2 streams. One was full of honey and milk, and the other was full of oil and wine. Not really made of dirt, those things. They stood for the people there to get spiritual food and good health. I also saw the river that Enoch talked about that was on fire. He told them that the river of fire wasn't meant to hurt them, but to wash them clean. It's something that souls choose to be in order to get rid of bad impulses and make their essence pure. I went to the spot where Enoch said the Lord rests before going to heaven. It was hard to explain because it was so beautiful, and the air was filled with God. It was just like Enoch said it would be, with an unmistakable smell and goodness. Enoch talked about cruel darkness and gloom without light as places where bad souls would go. I saw those too. Like I said though, Jesus made it clear that these are only short-term states and not punishments that last forever. Jesus told me that the third heaven I saw was a place in the middle when I asked him about the end of the world. Sometimes all souls will come back to life and be judged for all time. But it's not like a scene with a mean judge in court, which is how it's usually shown. Instead, it's a perfectly clear moment when everyone knows what will happen because of everything they've done and decided. At that point of truth, every soul sees the full truth of God's love. It can either accept that love and go on to even more happiness and growth, or it can turn it down and stay apart. That's not at all how most people think about right and wrong, or heaven and hell. It is, yes. It was made clear that God doesn't send people to hell. We don't have to be near love and light, though. There is always a chance to turn things around. But the farther we get off track, the longer and harder the path back might be. We are always free to choose for ourselves. God's love always wants us to be happy and grow, but it never makes us. He didn't show me those higher places. He told me I wouldn't be able to understand it at this time. He did say, though, that beyond the intermediate realms are places that are so beautiful, romantic, and artistic that words can't explain them. He said that people whose hearts are fully in tune with God's love continuously grow and change, becoming more important in the world. We could call some people who help guide and watch over others angels. Some of them are helping to make new worlds and new types of life. He said that the ultimate goal is for every soul to fully understand how holy it is and help make the world and spread love. He said that he has shown up to different people at different times in history, always trying to wake them up to the truth of divine love. I felt a mix of sadness and tender understanding as he spoke. People get into trouble when they think the finger that points at the moon is the moon itself, he said. This takes place when people care more about their religious beliefs than the love those beliefs are supposed to lead to. On top of that, he showed me how evil spiritual forces, which some might call demons or dark entities, change religious beliefs to make people hate each other. He made it clear, though, that good will always win over evil, and that love will save everything in the end. He always said that his main lesson was love. Love for God, love for friends, and love for everyone else. He said that too many of his followers are fighting for political power and have forgotten how easy but hard it was to love and forgive deeply the way he taught them. He said that he comes to different cultures in different ways, and it doesn't matter what name or shape he has as long as people are ready to accept grace. He had a lot of respect for people who didn't believe in God. He said that a lot of them are coming out against faiths that they have seen as harmful or skewed. They are honest and nice, which makes him like them. He also said that someone who fakes their religion is less close to God than a real atheist. He told everyone, no matter what they thought, a simple thing. Feel love for each other. Treat people like they are the most important thing in the world when you meet them. Because they are. Those are all beautiful words. Finally, I need to ask. I don't fear what comes after death anymore now that you've been through this. I see now that it's a change to something even more beautiful than we can think of. Still, the act of death makes me feel good. I know that letting go of this life can hurt or be hard on the feelings. The most important thing is that I value my life on Earth a lot more now. I know that our time here is short and that when we go back to the real world, we won't have as many chances to learn and help other people. I am excited about what is to come, but I also want to enjoy every moment I am here, love deeply, learn new things all the time, and try to make a difference in any way I can. People often ask me if their pets go to heaven. I'm glad to say I saw animals in the next world. Jesus said that all lives are holy, and that the souls of animals do live on after they die. Their hearts might not grow like ours do, but they do feel love and happiness on the other side. It was great to see my old dog again. He was so glad to see me. He was happy and full of love. It was a lovely lesson in how bonds between people and animals last forever. It made me happy to see friends and family who had died get together again. One of the most beautiful things in the next life is love between souls. We can't feel fear or pride in it, so it's cleaner than anything we feel here. Soulmates aren't always as easy to find as it seems in movies and books. Christ taught me that our lives are deeply connected to many others, not just one. It could be a spouse, a family member, a close friend, or someone we meet briefly, but who has a big impact on our lives. Souls often come back to life over and over again, taking on different parts to help each other learn and grow. Your partner could be your child, parent, friend, or even enemy in a past life. Everyone we've been with has taught us something different about love. One day, we'll be able to look back on our lives and understand why all the connections we made here were important. Christ said that this world is like a very tough school. Physical life is a unique place to grow in ways that aren't possible in the bigger worlds because it is hard and close. But souls always have a choice in the heavenly worlds. They can grow and help in other ways if they'd like. He said that Earth is like a furnace for the mind, a place where scary things happen that shape our spiritual growth. Our main goal here is to learn how to love more deeply and carefully, to stop thinking that we are different, and to realize that we are divine. He taught me that the bad things that happen to us are not curses, but chances to get better. There are times when you can choose love over fear, healing over anger, and being brave over being lazy. These choices really do change the way we think. He also talked a lot about how important it is to have free will. He said that God could have made things that loved and obeyed on their own, but that wouldn't have been real love, that we could choose love in an honest way and help make our reality. God gave us free will and put us in a world with problems and two sides. That's really deep. The way we think about why we might be having trouble in life changes. That's right. Also, keep in mind that Jesus wasn't ignoring the real sorrow and pain that people go through. He really cared about people who were in pain. He also taught me that if we face the worst things that happen to us with bravery and an open mind, they can work out for the best. He also made it clear that when we're having a hard time, we're never alone. They are always there to help and guide us, even when we can't see or feel them. They are guardian angels, spirit guides, and grown souls. Besides my grandmother and the people I already talked about, I saw a lot of angels. They looked lovely. They were made of love and light. They were made up of shapes that looked like regular angels and shapes that looked more like colored light moving in different directions. Jesus told the crowd that there are a lot of spiritual people and that each one has a job to do in the world. There are those who guard and guide individual souls, those who work on a global or galactic level, and those who are part of the very process of creation. Things I saw also looked like they were from other worlds or dimensions. He said that the world is full of life, some of it in ways that we can't understand. He meant that souls can connect with and experience many different places and ways of being as they grow. I asked him about it because I was interested in the idea of strangers visiting Earth. He said that yes, it is true that aliens have come to Earth before. Some have been helpful, some have been neutral, and some have not been honest. He did say, though, that people must grow spiritually from the inside out. No one else, good or bad, can do the work for us. Another thing he said was that as faith and technology get better, it will be easier for people from different countries to talk to each other. We won't be able to do that, though, until we're spiritually ready to handle those kinds of connections well. However, he made it very clear that things can change. He showed me some possible ways to get there. The choices we make as a species shape the way it moves forward. I learned from him that the world is going through a big change. Things can either get better so that everyone lives in peace with everyone else in the world, or they can keep going in the wrong way and destroy everything. We get to pick. He did say that the world and all of its people will have a great spiritual awakening at some point, no matter which path we take. That change will be easy or hard depending on what we do now. It was lovely and simple. He told us that every day showing love and growing spiritually is the most important thing we can do. Each act of kindness, each choice to forget, and each moment of standing up for what's right is good for the growth of people everywhere. He also told us to look after our lovely planet. The way we treat the Earth has deep spiritual affects. He taught me that the Earth is alive and has its own spirit. That was one of the most important things about what I did. Every thought, word, and action we do affects not only our own lives, but also the whole web of existence. This makes us value our lives more and take more responsibility for how we live them. That being said, as a science teacher, this has helped me understand things more deeply. I still teach my kids how to think scientifically and how to use facts because those are very useful skills. But I also try to instill in them a sense of wonder and an openness to ideas that go beyond what science can explain. They should question everything, even what they think they know, and have an open mind when they look at the world's wonders. A lot of the time, the smartest people in history were also very religious. They thought that their work would help them understand what God was thinking. I try to stress that faith and science are not at odds with each other. These two ways of seeing the wonderful world we live in go hand in hand. I already said that I completely understand skepticism because I had it myself before this happened. Keep an open mind, but first learn more. There are more and more scientific studies about experiences where someone feels like they are almost dead. The things that some people said happened to them while they were clinically dead are true, but what's more important is that people think about how these things have changed them. It has been shown over and over that after an NDE, people are less afraid of death, more loving, and less selfish than they were before. They usually make big changes in their lives for the better and choose to help other people. If this was just a dream caused by a brain that was dying, why would it have been so good for so long? But in the end, I know that I have to go through this myself in order to fully understand it. I believe some people will not believe what I say. I hope that sharing it will help some people see that there may be more to life than what our five senses can tell us. Know that you are loved a lot. We are all eternal beings with a lot of worth and promise. No matter what you've done or been through, you are loved and can grow. This life is a rare and important chance. It can help you love deeply, always learn something new, forget things quickly, and help other people whenever you can. You can only grow if you face your fears and heal your wounds. Remember that death is not the end. It's the start of something, even more lovely than we can picture. But don't let that make you ignore this life. Everything we do here is very important, and what we choose will affect our path through life. Last but not least, believe that things will work out. Stay strong and remember that you're not alone, even when things seem bad or hard. There is always hope and a way back to love, no matter how far we've gone wrong. Thanks for letting me talk about my life. I hope it brings your people comfort, hope, and thoughts.